morning, friends. Here we are, another morning, another sitting, another chance to greet each other, to bow and enter the Dharma hall, as it were. Spend a little time in the intimacy of things, these qualities that we spoke about yesterday. Just coming to a moment to prioritize and to cultivate the capacity to be steady, open, gentle, in the way that we meet and metabolize our experience. So each day we've been looking at, each day this week, different qualities that we can bring into meditation practice and equally bring into the rest of life. And maybe it's helpful to notice, that whatever the quality, and it's pretty much consistent through not just this week, but I don't know how many other weeks now. It's 4 years of doing these weekday mornings. So I usually do 1 or 2 weeks a month for the last 4 years. I don't know how many that is. It's quite a lot, right? It's more than 100 weeks, definitely. And I would say pretty consistently, there's a different reflection every day, a different way in to practice every day. And yet, however distinct those reflections might be, however helpful, I hope they're helpful, they might be, the way into that reflection isn't through doing some kind of different practice. It's basically the same practice, right? And sometimes maybe you've been on retreat with me that has a very specific focus where we might explore some ways of meditating that are different from this, but most essentially, just presence, breath, embodied awareness. That seems more than enough to me. When I first was approached to make the French meditation app that we have called Mind, the first suggestion that the people who wanted to make the app gave me was they asked me to make 365 meditations, one for each day of the year. So firstly, that seemed like way too much work. Secondly, it seemed very unnecessary. So my suggestion in return was, how about one meditation and people do it 365 times? That's the way through the year. So I have great faith in and love for, just that kind of the same practice. No need to make it more complicated than that. There's so much depth and dimensionality within just that present breath, body, open. Just the sense of it inhabiting experience. And when you inhabit experience, you meet it up close. And when you meet experience up close, you see it more clearly. And that's what vipassana means, seeing experience clearly, literally. And when you see more clearly, you understand more fully. When you understand more fully, that itself is transformative, right? Because we understand the ways I've been tight, or the ways I'm fearful, or the ways I get into some habitual mind loop with this. When you really see and understand what you're doing that is uncomfortable, unhelpful, unnecessary, you drop it. You release your grip, anupadana. So, many of you have also been showing up here for many of those weeks. So I can only assume, unless you're just showing up endlessly hoping there'll be a new practice or a new meditation, a new type of meditation, right? No, I assume you're showing up because you share that sort of love of depth, and going through the same doorway, we could say, again and again, albeit with different nuances of reflection that illuminate that doorway that we're going through into meditation. Yeah. So this morning, I thought I might speak this morning about pleasure. Pleasure as a quality. Oh, it's so important, actually. Pleasure is vitally important to us, you know. And I think it's really important, really helpful for the sustainability of our practice that we find pleasure in meditation, that we then associate pleasure with meditation. Most of us, think for yourself, when you first came into contact with this kind of practice, we come to this kind of practice because we're suffering in some way. We come to resolve some pain or confusion or existential angst or restlessness, or as a way to meet grief or sorrow or despair or depression that we might be going through. Nobody comes to meditation because everything's so lovely and smooth and easy and pleasant and super in my life that I can't think of anything else to do other than just, sit quietly and no, right? So when we first, the early associations we have with meditation are often painful ones, right? Because we come with our own painful condition to the practice, and then it's painful to sit with painful condition. So our early experiences of meditation are either boredom, restlessness, dullness, etc., or sort of the torture of just our own noisy minds, or the pain of being confronted with that issue, that thing for which we came to meditation with in the first place. Right? So all of that's true and important, and we learn, like we were saying yesterday, we learn to be steady, open, gentle in the face of that which is painful. We learn to generate that kind of resilience, khanti, which we explored yesterday. Very valuable, important. But equally important, actually, to find that it's good. It's good to be here. It's pleasant to be here. And to associate the sense of being able to take pleasure in meditation, to just be glad to sit, to be glad to not be just pulled around in all kinds of different directions. We know that experience very well, right? So to sit down with the sense of allowing oneself the pleasure of settling into a seated body, right? Allowing oneself the pleasure of this breathing organism. So I thought we might sit in that way today. I'll give just a few orientations towards pleasure as we sit. And then we also reflect afterwards about, it's not about pleasure seeking, right, in the rest of our life. It's not about just, you can just go and eat cake. If you like cake, it's pleasurable. But rather it's sort of kind of sensing into experience such as we're able to find pleasure, often actually in the ordinary, rather than needing the kind of coarse stimulation, the intense stimulation with which we usually associate pleasure. Nothing wrong with intense or stimulations. Nothing wrong with cake or sex or the TV or whatever else you associate with pleasure. Nothing wrong with but how uplifting it is for the heart to not only be able to derive pleasure in a consumptive way, right? By getting, having, doing what I like, what I want, what I find pleasurable, but also to be able to kind of sense into a certain quality of ease, contentment, gladness, right where we are. All right, so sit in meditation together. And just before we start, I'll say one of the best ways, maybe, certainly the way most recommended by the Buddha in Buddha's meditation instructions, is this sense of bringing together breath and body as a way to establish pleasure. Piti, sukha, right? Piti means bliss or rapture. Sukha means tranquility or contentment. And those are seen as the two kind of two facets of meditative pleasure. One of the ways of settling into that is to, really to have a sense, letting the breath fill out into the body, a sense of the cells, kind of the cells taking pleasure in the breath. So I'll speak about that a little as we sit. And as Roy just suggested in the chat, yes, Roy, I thought chanting might be a good way to turn up the pleasure volume a little on our way into meditation. Yeah, I'm aware that not everybody likes chanting, but I'm also aware that most people who don't like chanting haven't done it very much. Most people, if you do it a little more, pretty much everybody starts to love. What's not to love about chanting? We might feel some resistance to it, or perhaps we've done it in a way that felt a bit rigid or a bit overly ritualized before, and we don't like that about it. But actually, just physiologically, chanting opens up the throat and the chest and the belly. It's like it massages the cells somehow. It's like a sound massage for the cells. It wakes things up. So you just spend a few minutes chanting on our way into meditation. We'll just chant kind of seed mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. You can join in with me. And then we'll go from the sound into the silence of sitting. So please take your seat for meditation. Om mani padme hum, 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 Om mani padme hum. So with this fading of the sound, relax your breath. Let your attention just settle into the feel of your seated body, the aliveness of your cells. Sensing into the expansion and relaxation of breathing, that gentle swelling in your torso with the in-breath, and the gentle softening of your torso with the out-breath. And seeing if you can just enjoy the expansion of a natural in-breath. Enjoy the relaxation of a natural out-breath. Enjoy the momentary stillness for that brief instant at the end of the out-breath. Enjoy relaxing into presence. as you sense into the swelling of the in-breath and the softening of the out-breath, this tide of breathing. So if you can feel that rhythm, that movement, more widely than just in your lungs or in your torso. See if you can feel the subtle currents of that tide throughout the whole field of your bodily experience, as if every cell is breathing in, as if every cell is breathing out. As if your whole being is animated by breath. As if each cell is blessed and enlivened and expanded by breathing in. As if each cell is soothed and made peaceful by breathing out. As if your whole organism, body and mind, is made harmonious just by breathing. Meditative pleasure arises through presence and relaxation. By giving ourselves to the naturalness of being here, the naturalness of breathing, the naturalness of consciousness being luminous, bright, right here. Just like this. as if each gentle in-breath fills your body, fills awareness. Blesses and enlivens each cell. As if each out-breath relaxes the cells, quietens the mind, brings you to peace. As if your joints and muscles are relaxing a little more with each breath. As if the whole field of body is becoming more open and fluid. As if awareness can penetrate a little more fluidly and freely into the sense of body sitting. As if energy can move freely up and down, in and out. As if breath and body and sensation and energy are one unified field. A field of presence. A field of blessing. A field of the pleasure of being here. Bring a little attention to your face. If there are any subtle tensions there, see if they can relax. And maybe you'd like to smile a little, just gently. The half smile of the Buddha. Not a forced or effortful or muscle tensing smile. Just a very gentle smile. What does it do to your experience? As one of my teachers in Thailand used to say, meditation instruction can be very simple. Breathe in, smile. Breathe out, relax. Last few minutes of the meditation. Seeing, even if there's some physical discomfort, pressure, heat, is it possible to include that discomfort, even if there's some unhelpful thought pattern going on? Is it possible to include that mind state? Is it possible that your meditation might be a field of pleasant abiding, a field of easeful presence that can have plenty of room for some physical discomfort, some otherwise bothersome mind content? May all of us everywhere know ease and pleasure. May all of us everywhere be inwardly and outwardly safe and happy. May all of us everywhere have this safety and pleasure and ease as a basis for really caring for ourselves and for each other, for those we agree with and those we disagree with, for the world we inhabit. All right. So, there's a little time for questions. The questions may rise out of the theme this morning about pleasure, or may range more widely than that. It's fine either way. Before that, just the usual daily reminder of dharma, just very briefly, the recognition that all of this is wonderful, to be able to get together, sit together, practice together, and that the engine of all of this is mutual support and generosity. And that's the only way it functions. So we try to support you the best we can with the whole platform of Sangha Live and with teachings and practices and the kind of the community forum and everything else. And in return, we ask that you support us the best we can, the best you can, in whatever, in whatever form that takes and to whatever degree you're able. So, there's a link. You can donate any time, any day to Sangha Live. It may be that your situation is one that you feel, you'd like to make a donation, but it's just a very modest amount, that it's only a few euros. That's exactly how this works, with many people making modest contributions. So if you're able to make a dana offering today, you wish to make an offering, just fun. I want to thank you. Beautiful. Thank you. And two, I want to encourage you to connect in the moment of offering, connect with the sense of pleasure, the goodness. It's a beautiful thing to make an offering. It's a beautiful thing to think, this is something I value. This is something that's worthy of support. And here I am stepping forward to offer that support. So thank you. Thank you. All right. Let's have a look at questions. Somebody asked about the chanting, I think, further up. Malina, is it? When do you breathe in the chanting? It could be just whenever you need to, or it could be at the end, like with the Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 etc. So I tend to do it usually every sort of 2 cycles of the mantra. I mean, there's 3. I chant it in 3. And then another 3, and then breathe. But you may have a different breath capacity than that. Sometimes it goes in 4s for me, so it depends. And the words are largely, each of the 4 words are largely symbolic words. So it doesn't have Om Mani Padme Hum. Literally, Om is sort of untranslatable. Mani means jewel, Padme means lotus, and Hung is an emphasis syllable. So literally it means Om, jewel, lotus, oo. So, but when you have to unpack the symbolism of those words, I would say for the purpose of chanting, the meaning is not so important. Better to just sound, resonance, openness, breath, and let it all happen. Right? Actually, symbolically, Om means totality, the entire manifest universe, everything that arises and expresses and passes. Aum, everything. Mani means the jewel-like, luminous nature of mind that reflects all experience. Padme means the lotus-like nature of the heart that can blossom delicately and beautifully with its 1,000 petals. That means it's kind of the infinite reach of the heart. And Hung means, oh yeah. So it's like, oh, the totality of the universe is reflected in the brilliant jewel-like nature of mind, is embraced by the infinite, delicate, compassionate heart of awareness. Oh yeah. Oh mani padme hum. All right, that's a kind of freestyle translation of the mantra, but you can do with that what you will. Pri says, can you speak to the experience of meditators seeing or visited by visuals of Mara and demons? I've been having these in the last month, and they play out as battles and finding a way to defeat or destroy the Mara demons that come. Yes. So for some of us, our minds are more sort of linguistic or auditory. For some of us, we're more visual in the way we function. So if you're more visual in your functioning, then it makes sense that your mind states may appear, in a visual way, right? And so sometimes we can get just a little lost in the visuals. It's like, lost in the movie of Mara and battles and all of that. My encouragement, so there's certainly nothing wrong with that happening. You can welcome it, you can use it. How can you use it? I would say be equally attentive while the visual is there. Be equally attentive, not just to what you're seeing, but what's the feeling that goes with it. So, for example, if there's that sense of defeating Mara, does that give a sense of confidence, right, or potency, or kind of power? And if it does, let yourself really feel the mind state that goes along with that, and how it's reflected, not just as an idea, but mind state in your body. That's where mind states are actually. Right? So if there's a sense of confidence, feel like that sense of, you feel big. There's confidence. Wow, Mara, you shall not pass. And let yourself feel that sense of steadiness, confidence, kind of steadfastness, courage, or whatever it is. If it feels complicated and the battle makes you feel sort of disturbed in some way, come in and feel that disturbance in the way it's there as tensions, and see if you can be just very gentle with and caretaking of those tensions. Right? So you're giving attention to the way, the immediate kinesthetic experience and how to best explore it or care for it. Right? As much as you're giving attention to what's playing out in the visual. Because if you don't give attention to the immediate experience, you can just get caught up in the abstraction, like getting literally lost in the movie of it. Okay. Grace says, how do you guide someone who starts to experience painful and traumatic memories because of their practice? As you say, it's why we do it, to see the experience more fully, but sometimes that's very unstabilizing. Yeah. So if I'm not sure quite, Grace, if you're asking how do you guide as in how do I guide, or sort of how does one guide? If people are having very painful and traumatic experiences, i.e. they're remembering some previously buried trauma, or they feel like they're reliving the traumatic experience, and it's unstabilizing, then that would need, it's better to refer them to somebody who really knows what they're doing with that territory, right? and so that the person is practicing in what's increasingly called in a trauma sensitive way or in a trauma aware way. David Trevelyan wrote a book called, I think it's called Trauma Sensitive Mindfulness, which sort of addresses basic mindfulness practice in that context of how to kind of take care of, be gentle with, be spacious around, and also look into, be able to do some resolution of traumatic experience without just getting caught up in the vortex of the trauma. And so sometimes we're able to stay with and explore, but often it means if it's what's important before it becomes too much, before it becomes overwhelming, to come out of that, to redirect your attention to something else, something that's more soothing and stabilizing. Because if you're too destabilized, you don't have any resources left to do anything, right? So you can go into difficult and painful material, but you need to go into it with resource of a certain amount of confidence, steadiness, capacity. So if you start to lose that too much in the painful, you need to come back. Okay, what orients me to? Oh, it's okay to be here. Right? It's good to be here, etc. Yeah. All right, Eleanor. Hello, Eleanor. It became clear to me that that decisions made in my youth were guided by wrong beliefs or traumatic experiences, so I couldn't see clearly. Yeah. What came now was, can I rely on my judgment today? Right? Am I still or always somehow under the influence of past beliefs? Yeah. So it's good. It's a good question, and yet you won't be able to resolve it just by thinking about it. Right? You could come to some or other conclusion, but you're liable to go round and around and around a lot. Am I still under the influence of past beliefs? Well, how can I know? How can I know? Right? So I think what is helpful when you realize that, oh, look, I can look back and see just how blinded or confused or conditioned I was by certain beliefs and experiences early on. Now I've resolved those things enough that I have some clarity today to be able to see that that's the case. So that's already really helpful. And today, I can't necessarily see all right now of what's conditioning me or conditioning my decisions or my views or beliefs, etc. right now. Right? But what I can do is, firstly, know the way that's freed up from the past, and reflect in a way. The most important reflection, I think, is to see that at any moment, long past, recent past, right now included, at any moment, you're doing your best with what you've got. Right? So even though you look back and you see, oh, I made some foolish decision or I had some foolish belief, in that moment, the decision you made or the belief you had was the best you could do. Right? You were as sincere as you could be. You were as clear as you could be. You were as well-intentioned as you could be in that moment. Because we never want to be ill-intentioned, ill-informed, unwise, we never want to be. So with the benefit of hindsight, we look back. And so it's like, reflection is really helpful for forgiving ourselves our trespasses, for forgiving ourselves all our foolishness, for forgiving ourselves our what we've done in the past. We really recognize, oh, right. However foolish that looks to me from this place, I can actually see at the time I was doing my best with what I've got. And then that brings you to the present. You don't know how much you're currently being conditioned by things that you haven't yet seen clearly. But what you can know is, here you are doing your best with what you've got. So what today seems to me like the best way to engage with whatever it is? What seems like to me my most helpful way to use my time, my attention, my energy, etc. And then you can leave a little space for this. Really seems to me to be the best thing right now, but let's see. It may be that a year down the road or 5 years down the road, I'm able to look back and see, oh, actually, no, I was also confused today. But then, seeing that we're always doing the best with what we've got becomes the ground for just constantly forgiving ourselves. You never need to give yourself a hard time about anything. It doesn't mean never acknowledge mistakes. No, but you acknowledge mistakes with wise attention and the wish to understand, the wish to make amends if needed, the wish to do things in a clearer or kinder way. Right? You can certainly experience some regret or some remorse, some wish to do things differently, some wish to apologize, but you never need to give yourself a hard time about anything. Never need punish or shame or judge or castigate yourself. That's what freedom increasingly, one of the hallmarks of freeness really is the recognition. No, never give myself a hard time about anything. No inner climate of harshness or shame or punishment. No need. It's never helpful. It's never necessary. All right. Martine says, basic question. I feel more present without closing completely my eyes. Is this normal? It's totally fine. Yes, Martine. For some people, closing the eyes helps to sort of interiorize the gaze. And if the eyes are open, more likely to get distracted with what's going on around. But for others, it's the opposite. If I close my eyes, I'm more likely to get lost in the kind of inner world of images and thoughts, and just leaving the eyes just slightly open, a soft gaze, etc., helps me stay just a bit more kind of grounded in immediacy of things. So it's totally fine. Eyes open or closed. More important than open or closed is just the sense of eyes being sort of relaxed and the gaze being soft and unfocused. So whatever feels natural with that is fine. All right. Thanks for your presence and your practice today. Appreciate you being here. And what's today? Thursday. Yeah. So please come back tomorrow and we can sit together, end the week together, etc. Oh, pleasure in through the day. So just reflect for yourself for a moment. What might that be like? What might it be like to orientate to pleasure? Like we said at the beginning, not in a consumptive way. And also, like we said, nothing wrong with that. Feel free to go and eat cake for breakfast if that's what seems a wise thing to do or a nice thing to do. Right? But what might it be like to orientate, just like we did in meditation? There's something pleasurable about just being here, sensing, allowing, breathing. So as you get up from your seat and you go to your breakfast or you go to your office or whatever you're doing next, it's like, can you take pleasure in the fact that you just got a body that moves, that can walk, if you can walk, right? Or that can move your limbs. I mean, this, it's a kind of a miracle. Look. We've got a pretty functional, even if you've got health issues, aging issues, injury issues, all kinds of other issues, right? Eyes, ears, right? Wow. Can you hear the bird song? Can you see your kitchen? Can you move your hands? Oh. And just see if you can actually enjoy the basic miracle of your humanness. See you tomorrow.